And Arathusa game reserves here in the magical South Africa. It's 18 degrees Celsius, 64 degrees Fahrenheit, light breeze blowing. My name's Hayden Turner and it's great to be back in the saddle. Hi everyone, I've got Brian with me this morning, of course, my buddy, partner in crime from way back, and it's nearly 12 months to the day since I started out here on Safari Live, and it's great to be back. I flew in yesterday, last night. Peter picked me up at the airport, came back, had a catch up with all the team. It's just a fantastic family to be back here, and it's great to have you with us as well. And if you're a regular Safari Live viewer or person on our vehicle, welcome back, great to have you again. And if you're a newcomer and it's your first time, welcome aboard hugely to you. Because this bug bites, and once it's bitten you, you won't get away from it. Safari Live is a fantastic way for us to interact with you. You can send us a tweet through #SafariLive or an email at questions@WildEarthTV, and we can have a bit of a chat this morning, which would be fantastic. We've just pulled up here. It's such a beautiful morning too, folks. We had a bit of rain last night, and where we stay in our research centre, there's tin roofs, and it was very, very loud. We could hardly get any sleep, but it's a beautiful sort of moist covering on the ground at the moment. We've got a bachelor herd of buffalo over here that Brian was just starting on, and we just drove up and they're all just laying down undisturbed, a couple of them starting to stand up. It's just all around us, and whilst we're looking at the buffalo, I'll give you a little bit of an update of the species that I can see. I've got wildebeest off to the right in front of me, peeps just going off in the distance there, brilliant. We've got zebras around us as well, but buffalo, I just love these guys, and I always stop to see them. Big beasts, absolutely huge individuals in here. A couple of alarm calls or a couple of rutting. There's a ram, an impala ram, chasing around his herd over a little bit further, but that's what those buffalo all just stood up for then. I love these guys. I think they're an incredibly sociable. They're fun too. I know they're incredibly dangerous, or they can protect themselves. They're fierce creatures, but there's a really great social aspect to buffalo. They really get on. You'll often see them lying like this, where they'll rest their head and shoulders on another one's back, and very, very sociable animals. Just chilling out here in this beautiful, cool morning. So only 18 degrees Celsius, 64 Fahrenheit, which is very, very pleasant, and quite fresh when that wind was blowing. But great to see the rains have come, and the grass is starting to grow, and it's just great to be back. I'm just so excited, and we're also very, very excited because we're geeing up for Big Cat Week. And not long to go now, and lots of rehearsals going in, lots of work. The techs all work. We've got a massive team here of people working on everything. And we also want to have a little plug for everyone that was watching the woodland kingfisher, the return of the woodland kingfisher. I think some of you were watching on one of the cams, the waterhole cams, which is brilliant as well. And you're going to start to hear that vocalisation back in the woods, which is a quintessential African sound as well. So really, really happy to be here. And I've got Mr. Pretorius up here a little bit further. Let's go and say hi. Fantastic to be here. Just let this individual, we've got one buffalo just going to go across back to the herd. So I'll just let that one go back, and then I'll go up and say hi to Pete. Thanks, Buffs. Thank you very much, everyone, for all the wonderful messages, the welcome backs from everyone. It's just great. I really, really am ecstatic to be here. It's just one of those things that it's a family. It's just a big family, and I'm very, very privileged to be part of it. Hello, my friend. Hello, buddy.
How does James say? Yeah. He goes like, good morning, good morning, good morning.
Sorry, mate. Wrong side. Door open.
Hey, everyone.
Great to be back, mate. Just having a look at those buffs back there, which is pretty beautiful, all lying down there.
Relaxed. The impalas also. Everyone's nice and frisky. It's nice and cool.
Yeah. And zebs and a few other things. So we're just going to have a little trundle around. I've got to get my bearings again, mate, on the place. you're only away for 6 weeks, and you can just sort of start to forget a few things. But that's probably my age.
Get our voices warmed up again. I realised that with Molly and them here the last few days, just because you speak a bit more than you would sometimes, under other conditions. So get our voices back into shape as well.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, you know what? I'm going to go and have a bit of toodle around.
Specific plan? Just gonna.
No, what were you going to do?
Same as always, just drive around and look for leopard.
Okay, me as well. So we might go down and then to Djuma Dam, and then just have a little bit of a look down around there, and then carry on from there, mate.
Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome. Well,
yeah.
I think we're actually in our vehicle now.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah.
And I'll see you soon.
Buffalo back there, and yeah. I'm pretty much just going to start around here. I mean, there's zebra, Bolivia's, everything.
Okay.
See what happens.
All right. And, we'll see you just now. Good to see you, buddy. Good to see you, V.
Well, another good morning. Just looking at, let's just actually start from where we're sitting. We've got 4 species just around us, 5 if you count Hayden and Brian that's just left. Nice and cool, overcast. Generally speaking, wildlife is sort of, almost want to say, a little bit happy when it's nice and cool, especially in summertime. So you get often good activity, running around, playing around, obviously early morning still. So they're also on higher alert than they would be later on in the day. There's still many things walking around at this time of the day. So they're looking around, they're doing their thing. Pretty much what we're going to be doing for the next 3 hours on safari. And we've got buffalo that you have been looking at. We've got zebra on the back as well, which we'll go to in a second or two. Oh wow, look at this! Hyena! Awesome! The hyena surprised us the last time we were here. Just thinking back to the last drive that I was here, the last live drive. We're looking at a leopard, and the next thing hyenas came in. So spotted a hyena. We are going to maybe go past the hyena den this morning, either myself or HT, just depending how it works out. Beautiful views of those youngsters at the den, so that's always something to look forward to. There you go. Okay, wow, awesome. Well, also just while we're looking at this beautiful hyena, Nikki just letting us know, Tara letting us know that might be one of the females just looking at a scar there. And speaking of Nikki and Tara in directing and the final control, awesome to be on drive with you two as always. Looking forward to the next few weeks. Oh, I was going to move, but I think we can actually stay just here. Just quickly, my name is Peter Pretorius. If this is your first time on drive with me, big welcome. I'm very excited to be back in the bush. I've been here for almost a week, about 5 days now. So been great to be back, but really great to be back in this seat. This is one of my, no, actually this is my favorite seat in the world to be in. So let's enjoy the wildlife. Zebra in the background there as well. You would actually quite often find zebra and buffalo together. They're both grazers, meaning they eat grass. But sorry. In this area in general, Sabi Sands, where we are sitting, we actually see buffalo a lot more than we do see zebra. It's not just sort of typical plain savanna, there's open grassland areas that people often associate with Africa. We've got more mixed bushveld or bushveld, so lusher areas. Buffalo still do well. Zebras prefer the bigger open areas. So zebra actually we don't see as often. So great to see them. And just while we are sort of early morning here, I think I presume it's a nickname. Sleepy is just asking. I just totally forgotten what you were asking, Sleepy. Please help me again there, Tara. Yes, Sleepy, Big Cat Week. You were asking what's Big Cat Week. Well, it's a very exciting thing. I can't believe I forgot that question. Big Cat Week obviously is a very exciting week in National Geographic, more specifically Nat.Geo Wild. And it's very exciting for us on many levels. almost exactly a year ago, we came down back to the Lowveld. Many of us, VM, it's the first time I met VM, Brian, Hayden as well, HT that you met earlier, and we had let's call it the sort of the early phase, almost the test phase of what's happening with Nat.Geo Wild and us now, and the sort of exercise in that, and the fun in that, and the adventure in that. And we came down here for Big Cat Week, but it was sort of a little bit quieter. We sort of felt our way around, and I think everyone else as well. And it's gone great. We've had great drives since we've had spectacular surprises. And Sleepy, to get to the answer bit for you, Big Cat Week is 1 week where Nat.Geo Wild is focusing on big cats. It's a very exciting week on many levels in terms of big cats. We all like big cats. And for us here at Djuma Game Reserve in Sabi Sand, South Africa, it's super exciting because we're going to be part of Big Cat Week directly, real time. It's going to be live game drives. We're doing 3 prime time game drives for you if you're from the States. I'm guessing you are from Canada, depending on the time zones, anything between 8 and 12 o'clock. Your evening time, our early morning, this time that we are now, will be the prime time drives, and we'll do 7 2-hour drives as well, which will be our afternoons, so morning time for many of you if you are in the sort of the American time belt. If you're in Europe, of course, your times are very similar to ours, maybe an hour or 2 difference. So that's something to look forward to. The television broadcast will only be Nat.Geo Wild North America, but of course, for everyone else, as we always have done, every possible moment, we're going to give you live drives like this. So that's what it's going to be. We're looking forward to it. That'll be from the weekend coming up now. So from Friday night, your time, if you're in the American time belt. So evening time for you. Obviously, if you're in Europe, the TV broadcast will be from Saturday morning our time. It won't make much of a difference for you if you're viewing over the internet. In fact, you get to have it without the ad breaks. So if something does happen, you get to see it as it happens. I hope that explains it. Otherwise, just punch it into Google and lots of info will come up. There's some interesting articles coming out as well. We had some lovely people visiting us over the last few days. There's been various sort of press interest and things. We've talked to them, showed them pictures, made friends with them. So looking forward to seeing what's coming out as well. If you bump into it before we do, please let us know what you find out there regarding this. Otherwise, most of all, apart from the big cats, we're also looking around just for the general adventure of safari time. Those things that you experience and see without knowing what to expect before it happens, and that just only happens by driving around, looking at the tracks, listening to the bush. That's what's beautiful about summertime, is there's lots of sounds. Heavy skies. We had a bit of rain last night, not for long, but it sounded like someone was throwing stones on the roof. We've got tin roofs over where we stay, and at one stage I actually got up and looked outside. I thought it might be hail. So big raindrops last night. There is a bit of rain predicted for the last day of this week and going into next week. But by Big Cat Week, hopefully if all goes well, fingers crossed, we'll have good weather. Awesome. Hello, Robin. Sorry, this is still the first drive or two. You sort of have to just shake yourself into it again and get used to everything going on. We're listening to the guys in the control room, Tara, Nikki, and I'm not sure, I think Kirsty is in the control room as well this morning. Alex, of course, Mr. Bright, all the guys. Just a quick hello to everyone while it's the first drive. Say hi to a few individual people. Robin, I was so explaining to you how this all is working that I forgot what I was talking about. Robin, you're just asking what is the most. There's the Hina tracks, the one we saw just now. What's the most exciting thing for us to see? You know what it really is? I've been talking a lot about this. I mean, we've been discussing the concept of game drive, the concept of safari with Jason and Nick quite a bit, with Molly. And most excited to see, what do we most hope to see? Well, in a way, like Pink in the Brain, always the same thing every day. In Sabi Sands especially, you pretty much find yourself hoping for leopard. Robin, as you well know, leopards are just stunning to see, and this area is one of the top areas in the world to see leopard in. Not only is it great habitat for them, but also it is an area where they've been very well habituated to our presence. So you can find many of them sometimes if you're lucky, but when you find them, the quality of viewing, the quality of the experience you have in terms of experiencing their behavior is just phenomenal. So I just had to show you that bit of a eastern view there. As I said, quite heavily overcast. but sun breaking through a little bit, and I just love this view. This is one of my favorite trees on quarantine. Beautiful trees in the background, lovely light. And that's the second part of my answer, Robin, is even though we might often find ourselves looking for leopard, ultimately on game drive, on a safari, you are hoping to see anything, you are hoping to see everything, and that might be a herd of elephants or buffalo and zebra like we just saw, or leopard up in the tree perhaps. But just as much as that, it is just seeing the sunrise, smelling the rain, hearing the woodland kingfishers that are calling. We started hearing them the last few days. I'll tell you more about that later on. And that really is what the safari is about. Yes, if you could have a leopard lying up in that branch, obviously I'm not going to complain, you're not going to complain. But in the end, just to drive around and to be in an amazing environment like this, wild environment as well. We are part of the Greater Kruger National Park. Millions of hectares, millions of acres. And that experience in itself, just to be doing what we're doing right now, chatting to each other, saying hello, talking about some wildlife questions or some questions about specific individual animals, or just talking about the weather. That's what the safari is about. And then we could take that corner and there could be a leopard on the road. Yes, Georgia. Georgia, and just asking if those were just buffalo, that was just a bachelor group. Yes, that was a bachelor herd, so all males. They would have been taking the last hours of the morning sleeping on a quarantine area, and then they've been moving around now, grazing again for the morning. We're going to continue on, look around a bit. It's nice and sort of clean road. It's been raining, so all the tracks are fresh. I can see hyena tracks. We are going to head up towards the hyena den, but for now you're going to jump to another place around here, enjoy it, and I'll see you back here in a bit.
Good morning everybody. It is a chilly morning here in the safari tent or savannah tent or whatever kind of a tent you wish to call it. We have a display which has grown since last evening. Elephant bones, which I shall explain to you a bit later. Giraffe skull. The greyness of the western horizon is slightly intimidating as we sit here. And out in the field we've had Louise Pavid, who has been finding various bits and pieces. Now what we have here is a slug. Now a slug is not normally associated with the top animals to find on safari, but this particular slug here, well, we don't know a huge amount about what species it is, but what they do is that they eat a lot of plant matter. They go about the place, and apparently they've evolved the ability to live without shells because of a lack of calcium in the soil, which I think is quite interesting. Now what we'll do is we'll head across to the microscope shot, and I just want you to watch the rippling of his muscles. I think it's absolutely incredible. If we go across now to the microscope shot, you'll be able to see a little bit of, I think, you can see the, no, don't worry, you can see that movement of the light there. There, you can see that. That is actually the muscles of the slug starting to ripple. He's thinking about moving, he's thinking about getting up, and well, he's not going to go anywhere very fast. But that, I think, is quite interesting. Right, I'll show you a better look at him now. You come back to me. There we go. Look at him there. You can see he's quite a splendid fellow, really. Like I say, not the top animal for not really a top kind of safari animal, but very interesting. Found under this log over here, and they can only live, they must live under a log like that simply because they will desiccate. In other words, they will get very, very dry very fast without being under a log. So let's have one more look under the microscope. Let's have a look at the top of him this time around, and he looks almost like a whale skin. There we go. You can go across there, and you can see that's the top of what he looks like. He will stick out two antennae exactly like a snail will eventually, but at the moment he's hiding from us. He's a bit nervous. Okay, righty. I think let's head back over to Hayden. I'm just going to try and see what he's got. Oh, he's got a vast expanse of the Kruger National Park in front of him. Let's go and see what he can find there. See you just now.
To one of my favourite stretches of road, the Buffelshoek Cut Line, which takes us to Buffelshoek Dam, and I was expecting a little bit more water, or some water in some of the dams. I've been watching back in the UK, and I keep watch as many drives as I possibly can. But I just drove past Djuma Dam there, and Brian was pointing out the remnants of the catfish in the centre there. It's the catfish graveyard. It is very dry, but Arathusa Dam is the only water point in this vicinity. So what is around, very, very beautiful temperature. It's only about, as I said, 18 degrees Celsius, 64 Fahrenheit. It's good for us for predators in this cooler weather. Have a tendency to be active a little bit longer through the day, through the morning. So fingers crossed. I just said to Brian, I've got a bit of a wild dog feeling going on, so always good to have a little bit of a positive wild dog feeling going on inside you. Oh, it's so nice to be back. Wow. When I was just flying over yesterday, and it was such a beautiful feeling just to fly over this beautiful country. Oh, I love this place. So we just got a message from Sandy in Ohio. Thank you very, very much. Great to have you with us, as always, and you can't wait to see what's around the next corner. Well, me either. And we're going to just peek our little head in here. Not a lot of water left here. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. You can see...
Police station, this is Peter WildEarth. Anyone else to drive?
Let's pull up. We'll just turn off for a second. We've got our Egyptian geese down here with their little goslings. Now, how many's there, Brian? 1, 2, 3, 4 left.
4 from 7.
Yeah, 4 from 7. I remember, I think there was 7 or 8. Yeah, I was watching on Drive a while back when I think Scotty was up here, and I was watching with my son in the UK, and we were sitting there, and Scotty just had this incredible sighting with so much going on, and I really had to just pipe up and send a tweet to say it's lovely when you turn up and things just start to appear. There was all different bird species, and I think some of the marabou storks that were here then were fishing, but then there was 8 goslings, and now there'd be 4. Wow. So they're getting on there. They're getting a bit bigger, I can see there, and definitely being cared for by their very protective parents. I love this spot. We've seen so much action here over the year. Incredible times with wild dog, lion, leopard, elephant. Amazing elephant interaction here. And something that I really want to do, folks, an unofficial little thing this Big Cat Week, and prior to I want to sort of set up a little thing called I want to call it Operation Wild Child. So just for a working name, and it's, as I said, it's unofficial, but it's just between us. And I know all of you out there that have got friends, family, grandchildren, children, or within your circle of people. Let's try and make a mission. I challenge you to actually sit down with a child, either it's a relative or a bunch of your kids' friends or whatever, and watch an episode of Safari Live. Watch a drive with us. Sit down and talk them through it. Work through it with them. Okay, there's going to be sometimes a bit of graphic sort of stuff that you have to really talk them through, but at the end of the day, this is the raw reality of the bush, and I think that's a really important thing. So my challenge is Operation Wild Child. Let's try and flick the love nature switch in as many kids as we can over the next few weeks, particularly through Big Cat Week. Sit them down and talk them through it, but then use that little bit of stimulation that they've had watching Safari Live to get outside in your backyard or your garden or a woodland or a wild area near you, and go out and have a little exploration, a little adventure with them. You know, James in there this morning with all those invertebrates, looking at slugs and things like that, things that are really accessible for kids in a very, very close local area. Get them to love nature. That's what we've got to do. We've got to get them to love nature, I always love to say it, but and I will probably say it a million times, but get them to love nature before we can teach them to save it. Flick that switch. Operation Wild Child, let's work with it, hey? See if we can do it. It looks a little bit quiet here, so I'm going to just drive on a bit and see what else we can see, but look at that. Really beautiful, beautiful vision there, Brian, isn't it? That gorgeous grey, all those different tones of the sky with that waterhole and that reflection. It's a beautiful thing. I'm going to pass you over to Peter, who is with some beautiful creatures that I'm sure you're going to love. We'll see you just now.
Well, from HD to this side, we are at the den. So speaking of children being exposed to the wilderness and the beauty of well, just to see kids in nature is awesome, because they get so excited, they appreciate it so much. But also all young creatures are interesting, whether it's human or hyena. I was hoping to time it in such a way that the youngster would come out, but these hyenas have got very small pups in there. Pups, I can never remember with hyena. And I've actually not seen them myself. I've only seen them from the way you guys see them, from one of the game drives. And they were tiny, still pitch black, almost look like little bears when they're that small. Well, one actually, when it is that small. We're going to sit here for a bit because it's quite possible that the youngster would come out. There's a youngster, not a pup or a little one. That's a sub-adult. The one I'm talking about is about the size of I was going to say a chihuahua, but it's not quite fair. It's about the same sort of height as it, but it's a much more chunky, much more tenacious animal as well than a chihuahua. In fact, young hyenas at birth, and the firstborn will often start attacking the secondborn while it's being born. Dominance is incredibly important with hyenas. And the firstborn will normally assume alpha dominance and often attack and sometimes even kill that secondborn. So they grow up being very competitive, tenacious, aggressive, various words you can use for it, but also being very cute and very playful and very endearing when you see them with other hyenas in the group. Can you hear the sounds that she's making, the female? That's the same one we saw with the zebra further back. Oh, there we go. Look at that. Hey! Oh, little animals, they cheer us up always, but look at that. Hungry? Come on, Mom. You can imagine a morning like this. It's cold, it's overcast, it was raining again last night. Some warm mother's milk will be great. Hyenas have got incredibly high fat and calcium. Whoa! Little somersault there. The nutritional levels of hyena milk is right up there with the highest of sort of concentrates, if you want. Oh, look at that. Bit of a grooming session. Hello, Mum. Hello, youngster. Oh, I miss my boy. Ragnar, my son, is just over a year old now. He's 2 months over a year, and he's been learning to walk. Just before I left, he could sort of do 5 to 7 steps, and in the last day or two, Leishan's been telling me he now walks straight across from one side to the other side of the house. That's in the space of 1 week. Young creatures, young mammals, whether it's human or hyena, once they start developing and once they start getting active, it happens so quickly. The muscles and the coordination increases every day. Hello, Karen. You were just wondering if I brought my family with me to Djuma this time. Unfortunately, not physically. I'm missing them a lot and can't wait to see them again. And I'm hoping maybe even early next year. We must just see how the plans work out. I'd love to bring them over. Leishan misses the bush so much. My kids absolutely love nature. Hayden and myself were talking last night also about the Wild Child sort of thing he's going to do, the next wild operation, Wild Child, the concept of it. And my daughter is just over 4 years old now, so she's in that age group, sort of 4 to 7, where they really start getting in tune with their surroundings, especially their sort of close to home world. But Sydney, my little girl, loves nature. She loves everything from little bugs. She's always catching little beetles and things and keeping them in boxes to watch them. Flowers and birds, and we've got lots of birds in the garden. Our dogs, some ways, can remind you of the hyenas and vice versa. So young animals are great. And we're going to be seeing a lot of young animals over the next few weeks, over the next few months, before, during and after Big Cat Week. This is summer in the bush. You can see it's green. We've had rain, as we've said numerous times. We might have rain this morning. And with the rain, with summer, comes lots of life, lots of activity, whether it's little insects or snails like you saw with James earlier, or birds or big animals. With youngsters, the impalas should be lambing as we speak. We saw the first lambs in the last few days. Summer is just a great time of activity and of life. Lots of things to look for. You were asking earlier, Robin, if I remember correctly, what do we look for in the bush? Everything, anything, nothing. But leopard are always something we keep an eye out for. So Brent's going to give you a little bit of info on that. I think he's got some signs. We're going to just move a little bit. See you back at the hyenas just now. Great to be on drive with you.
Welcome on the Sunrise Safari, and we've got a male leopard track here crossing across our eastern boundary into Djuma Private Game Reserve, and it rained at about 12:30, 1 o'clock last night. So we're going to have a quick look at the track again, and I can tell you about what time this happened. This probably happened around 2:30 after the rain. You can see these little spots. That leopards walked through here when there was still a bit of water. Not now. If I make a mark with my finger now, you can see I don't get that little pull off of the sort of suction off the water. So this track's a couple of hours old. It's going to be really, really difficult to follow them at the moment with this hard soil, but we are going to give it a really good go. And you can see just as we go along here how difficult it becomes. You can just sort of see where the sand's been scraped, and you see when I scrape the sand, it's still moist underneath. The leopard scraped, so it's been on top for a while and it's actually dried a little bit. So we're just looking at that slightly lighter patch. And we have Jean-Andre herding on the bushwalk this morning. My name's Brent Leo Smith, and we're tracking cats on foot. While we continue to look for this leopard, we're going to go and see what Peter's up to back at the hyena den.
Well, as you can see, we've repositioned ourselves, and the youngsters, they're just busy suckling in between her back legs. Popped his head up as we came around. Her leg, we don't actually know. I presume female, actually. With a hyena, it's very, very difficult, near impossible actually, to tell the sex of the animal, even as an adult. So pretty much impossible when they're that small. But I would guess female. We'll have to look at the behavior over the next while. As Brent was telling you there, fresh leopard track. One of the other things about summertime is it often gives you not only a great platform to track on, because if it's rained, all the tracks are nice and fresh on top, but you can also use it as a time gauge. As I mentioned, the rain last night was so hard, at one stage I thought it might be hailing. They had a big hailstorm here just over a week ago, 2 weeks ago, in Hoedspruit. So much so that it broke through roofs of houses and smashed things. So hail is not impossible, yeah, although it's not typical. Anyway, my point is that the rain was so loud last night that we woke up from it. I'm sure everyone did actually. So therefore Brent could have checked what time it was. Brent's an extremely good tracker. He's very well experienced, and he's also extremely good at building the story, in terms of what can we find where. If the lions were there, they're likely to be there the next day, and you use all your local knowledge, all your experience to find animals, and that's exactly what he could do. He woke up, probably checked the time, so that tomorrow morning if he finds a track, he knows that it's past that time at least. So fresh leopard track, young hyenas. Look at that youngster there. That's the sub-adult having a look at us. Oh, that's beautiful. I love this den. One of the reasons why is that it's quite a big termite mound. This one might actually come and have a look at us. Now this youngster, or this juvenile, is at that age, like humans again, when you get a little bit older, you're still a youngster, but you're old enough now to start exploring your surroundings slightly further out than just the den itself. Look at that young one, the little one. Too much. Oh, that's so nice. And we're going to have lots of good times here. Lots of fun times. I'm sure we're going to have lots of laughs. Quite a few sighs. Morning, Siberia. Look at him, little 4x4 dude. Hey, yo! I think he went down face first, maybe. Luckily, they're quite tough, but yeah, that little guy went down the hatch quite quickly. Oh, I think I got that in the shot. That's hilarious. Yo, this is stunning. This is absolutely stunning. The setting. Siberia just asking, what's the mortality rate of hyena in this area? And I would be honest with you, I don't have a exact sort of factual statistic for it, Siberia, but I would guess at least 50%. Generally speaking, predators in this area where there's high predator density, so in other words lots of competition, you often find that at 50% or even more. I mean, leopard in this area, according to Panthera, actually, according to Brent, who reads all these things and gives us the info. Oh, elephant! It's all happening. The leopard in Sabi Sands, only about 25 to 30% survive, so up to 70% don't. But yeah, this is awesome. This is a breeding herd, and by the way they're moving, you can see there they're picking up a bit of pace. I think they're quite thirsty, probably heading through towards either Galago or Galago camp, the waterhole there, or to the waterhole in front of Boetela Lodge. With Dahina having a look at the elephants. Not worried about them, they're not going to harass her, she's not going to do anything to them, but nonetheless, we all like this. If someone's walking down the street outside your house, you have a look. Keeps the day interesting. Listening as well, of course. Hyena's excellent hearing. You can see the ear just checking if I'm speaking any sense. Hey, here's the young one coming out again. Hello. 4x4 mode. Oh man, this is too much. Hello, Paul. Paul is just noticing there and commenting, and I love it when people ask questions or even just make comments relative to behavior going on. You know, it's so great to see things like this. I mean, just to see that little guy roll over like that, it makes us all smile, it makes us all feel good. Seeing him play with his mother like that. And Paul, you were just saying, you're noticing how sensitive the mother is towards it, how endearing even. And that's something that you find on certain levels. I mean, mammals, it's one of the characteristics of mammals, apart from the fact that we have hair and warm blood and various other or sort of characteristics, is we raise our young. We spend time raising our young. Sometimes maybe not that long. Antelopes and so on, the youngsters mature very quickly, or at least physically, being able to run and so on. So that might only be sort of a mother's dedicated care for 5 or 6 months. In the case of hyena, they are, even amongst mammals, I would say, at the top end of social activity, social interaction, social dependence, social cohesion, social co-working. You can add a lot of those words into it. But certainly when it comes to, oh, look at that, the young one grooming mother a little bit. When it comes to rearing their young to commitment in terms of energy and time to their young, hyena are at the top of the scale. They can spend 2 years raising the youngster, up to 2 years that they'll actually be suckling from the mother. And in the case of females, they might well spend a large part of the rest of their life, even the rest of their lives, together in the clan. So fascinating animals, and within the group, how they look at each other, how they take care of each other, they are absolutely brilliant. Hello, Bill. Guys, it's so great getting questions in from you as well. Thank you very much. It's always nice to have a conversation on the safari. That's what it's about. Chatting to each other, learning things, asking questions. I learn a lot of things from the questions you ask me as well. But Bill's just asking, is this the only youngster in the den? Bill, I'm going to ask you a question as well, if you don't mind. If you can check for me and anyone else that wants to. And I know I should know this by now. I've only been doing this for about 20 odd years. But I can still, for some reason, I've built up like a mental block against it. Never remember if it's pup or cub for hyenas. And I sometimes feel it can be both. So Bill, if you want to check for me, what's the correct reference to a baby hyena? Is it pup or cub? Or pub or cub or cup? Cup would be T. But in this den, only one. You sometimes get two as well, but I wouldn't be surprised if maybe only one was born. Or even, as I said, sometimes the firstborn will even kill the secondborn in that process of birth. They are highly competitive. All about dominance in the hyena society. Guys, remember as well, when you ask questions, when you ask us questions, firstly you can do so easiest with just using the hashtag Safari Live. Then those questions get passed through to us. And it's also nice to know where you're from. You don't have to. If you just want to give us your name, that's great. But it's great to have a first name, it's great to have a real name, and it's great to know where you're from. Karen just asking if this is the den where we used to go. I know quite a few Karens and drive with us, so firstly welcome to all the Karens as well as everyone else. Karen, the den, I have a feeling the den you're referring to, just because that's a den that you know, if I remember over the last few years we spent the most time at. This is a different den. This den has been used. I can't remember when last I saw hyenas in this den. Personally, I think I might have last seen them here pre-Wild Earth days for me, so earlier than 2006. But they have used this den. Many of these dens are often hundreds, even thousands of years old. I can't see why it's different for this one. Just looking at the setting of it and the trees growing on it, I would say at least a couple of 100 years, or at least 100 years or so, that this den would have been used by hyenas, running back, but also by porcupine, honey badgers, aardvark, warthogs, various things. Wild dogs could use this as well. I wonder what gave them a little fright. You can see the young one just ran back in. Oh, there it comes out again. They've got this sort of great, sort of terrier-like aspect to them. A little, you can almost imagine it to be like. Sorry, I was listening to the game drive there as well. Game drive radio. Almost like what was I looking at the other day to get in North America? Wolverine, badger-like. Great little animals. Getting a proper grooming. That's a bit like when you wash your kid's hair. The whole little body is actually shaking with that grooming. Mum making sure the youngster's clean. That's the practical reason. Of course, also in terms of just the bonding there again, very, very special. But Karen, so just to finish off, this is a new den for me. It's very striking. In fact, just to take a picture here, because you've got that sky behind, the camera sort of at foot level with them, you're going to see some amazingly beautiful views here of these hyenas, and they should have moved in here relatively recently, which means they should stay for a while. Hyenas stay in a den for a couple of weeks or a few months, and then they move to another den site normally because of the parasite load, so fleas and ticks and things that can build up in and around the den. So they should be here for a while, I would say at least a few weeks, and I think we are going to have many beautiful, breathtaking, intimate moments like we are having at the moment. So yeah, I'm excited about this den. Oh, look at that. Morning, Amy. Good question. Amy's from Madison, and you're just wondering, is there concern over flooding in these dens? Possibly yes. I mean, not concerned that they're going to flood and the hyenas will drown inside. I mean, they'll know that it's starting to get wet and they'll get out. But it can happen. That's possibly also why they've moved. I mean, one of the dens on Torchwood, I was lucky enough to drive in some other areas over the last few days, and there's a den on Torchwood that is in a riverbed, and they actually moved after the last rains, I guess purely in anticipation of possible rain. But this den is quite in high up ground. The entrance itself is quite high up as well, so I would say quite unlikely for this den to flood, or for it to really be a problem regarding flooding. So yeah, good day inside. Hello Jody. Awesome state, New Mexico, beautiful place. Are there any termites active in this mound? Yes, very likely. I don't see too much activity on it at the moment, so the mound itself, in terms of how active it is relative to the size of it, I'm not sure. But the termites won't affect the hyenas or vice versa. The hyenas have got a network of tunnels going down into this termite mound, but that won't affect the termites. It'll be the same as sort of a highway going through a city. So the road itself won't affect, well, in the case of termites, millions of them living there. This is so beautiful. Seems a little bit at the other side of the mound now. Maybe they'll come back over. We'll have more looks at them. And in the meantime, James has got something interesting to be talking to you about. So have a look.
What a magnificent time you've been having with that hyena cub. I've been watching it here and just marveling over the incredible interactions that you've been getting. And I think very interesting to watch the different social interactions that are going on there. And I mean, certainly the last cub that we had, we thought was the daughter of the matriarch. It'll be interesting to see where this one fits in the pecking order. It is on its own again, so quite possibly a female, which I think is fascinating. Right, come and have a look here. What we have is a beetle, which is a fruit chaffer of sorts. We're not sure exactly which kind. Most closely looks like a rose chaffer, but they'll fall under the fruit chaffers. And what I wanted to quickly show you was these things here. All insects, at one stage or other, had two wings. And in the case of the beetles, and they're pretty well evolved, those four wings, so the front wings, have fused into what we call an elytra, or a protective shell. So those are those ones there, and they obviously don't work properly. They just close over the beetle. And then it's got the wings that it uses to fly are these hind wings, and they're the back wings. And if you think of a wasp or a bee, they've got two sets of wings that are both used to fly. But in case of the beetles, the elytra, which are the four wings, don't work anymore. Now that's one case of beetle. Here is another, and this is called a tok-toki beetle, or a tenebrionid beetle. And you can see there that the elytra here are completely fused. So this beetle is flightless, it runs along the ground, and it's quite a nice link across to Peter, because most of the interesting tok-toki or tenebrionid beetles go or come from the Namibian sands, the deserts, and they love living in the desert. And these fused elytra, you can see that there's no way that there could be a wing underneath there that could be used. The elytra are fused to form this hard shell, and in the deserts of Namibia they're particularly effective for stopping desiccation in the beetle, so the beetle doesn't desiccate. And if you come back here, as you come back to me now, what I will show you is the fact that this beetle, some of them that live in Namibia, what they do is they sit in the sand and they face the mist that comes in. So where Peter lives in Swakopmund or at Walvis Bay, they're on the same coast, what happens is that this enormous mist comes in every morning, and these beetles stand on the dunes facing the mist, and the mist condenses on top of the shell, like that, on those fused elytra, and it forms little water droplets, and that water then drips down over the top of the head and into the little beetle's mouth. Isn't that an astonishing thing? So they don't have to drink at all. They just gather water out of the air. Amazing, amazing desert adaptation that they have, and that is the tenebrionid beetle. Right, they don't do that here, of course, because we have enough rain. Let's go back to the hyena den. I see that the cub is still out. Marvelous interactions going on there. Have a look closely at where you think that cub and its mother fit into the social hierarchy of this wonderful clan that provides us with such entertainment.
Well, great little beetle there. I think it was a tok-toki. Always loved that name. Tok-toki refers to the sound of knocking. Tok-tok. And as we said earlier, the question was asked, I spoke about it, I can't remember now whether it's male or female, this youngster. Bill, I'm still hoping you're going to let me know if it's pub. I keep saying pub or cup, but that's just a Freudian slip, whether it's a pup or a cub. But as we said earlier, it's actually, well, pretty much impossible really to tell with hyena. You have to look at their behavior. Females are more dominant than males. Even the lowest ranking female will outrank the highest ranking male. So I guess would be female here. Also the fact that it's only one. Sandra, Georgia, thank you so much, Georgia, sorry, not Georgia. The correct term is cub. I'm going to try and remember that. I think I might have to remember it by doing this, because this is my cup with my coffee in it. Maybe from this morning, maybe I never have this problem again. Maybe you've helped me solve this sort of problem I've had. And I'm not joking, this has been since day dot of guiding. For some reason, I've just for so many times told myself that I can't remember which one of the two that I don't now. But thank you so much. A cub, same as lions. In terms of the sort of breakdown of who's who in the zoo, with hyenas, they would be closer to, for instance, mongooses or bears than they would be to dogs, wild dogs or wolves. So cub obviously works. They sort of fit somewhere in between dogs and cats. Oh, this is amazing. Look at that. Yo. Just visually, this is just stunning. That background. I've got a great question from Dallas, Texas, and I can understand that people are sometimes a little bit shy to say their names in this vehicle, but keep in mind many of us are friends for, in some cases, years now, so I promise you we won't make fun of your name or do something silly. But out of Dallas, Texas, Virtual Tourist is asking, and I would love to ask you what your name is. What color are these youngsters when they're born? Pretty much what you see there. I mean, this is a tiny little guy, tiny little girl more likely, 6 weeks old maybe, and they are almost pitch black when they're born, very, very dark, and then they mature slowly over the next 6 to 8 months, 6 months to 10 months. You'll start seeing the spots coming out, and then probably at about 2 years, year and a half old, they have the adult coloration. I don't know if you could hear that. Could you hear that, VM? Oh yes, of course, I didn't introduce formally earlier. VM is behind the camera. VM, fantastic, huh? Great to be on vehicle with you, great to be in the bush with you. VM loves wildlife, obviously, that's why he's filming it, but also he just loves being out in the bush, so perfect friend, perfect partner to have out in the drive. He's also one of the top spotters out here. He would have made an excellent tracker, so that's also a fantastic aspect of being on the game drive together, VM. Looking forward to the next few weeks with you. Oh, look at that. Oh, this is too much. I hope my family are watching. Leisha said they're going to try and watch this morning. It's just such an amazing thing for children to see and experience this. So, getting back to one of the things Hayden will be talking to you about over the next few weeks. He's sort of coined the catchphrase Operation Wild Child, and to have young people, to have kids be exposed to nature, to see something, whether it's just a flower in the garden or an insect or a butterfly or a beautiful hyena, even funny hyena moment like what we just saw there. That is something that's very close to all our hearts, especially Mr. Turner's as well. He's been always at the forefront of educating people about wildlife, stimulating the passion for wildlife. The more of us that love nature, the more of us will enjoy it, and hopefully as time goes along, the more wild nature will be available to us. And nature, keep in mind, is not only here where we're sitting in South Africa in the wilderness. Nature is anywhere. It's in your garden outside, it's in the water we drink and the air we breathe. So we should all love it. Hey, you snuck up on me there. Guys, isn't this just amazing, eh? Sit here and do this with you. What a privilege, what a pleasure. Thank you for allowing me to spend time with you. Hello, Jan. I would like to welcome you all the way from Indiana to join us on safari. I'm quite curious where in Indiana. In fact, quick trick question for you. Do you know where Brazil, Indiana is? It's one of those random little places I've been to. Just want to see what's... I thought he might pop out. Jan, as I said earlier, this is my first drive in a while, so I'm still letting my brain and my ears and my mouth and all those things catch up to each other. Lots of things going on. And in welcoming you and remembering Indiana, I spent quite a bit of time in a tiny little place called Brazil, Indiana, before going to a place in Illinois. I've forgotten what you asked me. Can you believe that? Yes, of course. There's a male cub born from a dominant mother or alpha female, higher ranking than a female born from a lesser dominant female mother. So let me explain that again. What Jan is asking is, if there were two cubs born from two different mothers and the male is born from the alpha female and the female from another, which would be more dominant? Well, what's she seeing? Look at that behavior. Head up, looking carefully. I would guess that youngster immediately running back. It's amazing how the communication works. Mother's alert suddenly and head up. As soon as she sees the behavior, the cub runs back into them. Jen, quickly answer in case something happens here. Who knows what's going to walk in here? Maybe other hyenas, maybe lion, who knows? But any female hyena will outrank any male in the group. So even a newborn or a young, I mean newborn, that's too weak, but a young female cub, as we now know, would outrank an adult male, just because that's how the society works. It's very female dominant, so the lowest ranking female in the group or in the clan would outrank even the highest ranking male. So I guess that would answer the cub question as well. So any male cub, no matter where he's born from, will be outranked by any female in the clan. She's very alert there. Even she can also dash down that hole. The den would provide her for safe or with safety as well. I'm not quite sure. Dixon. Maybe Texan, he's sitting in another vehicle there from Boetela Lodge. He's got some guests. Just thought maybe he can see what this is, but she seems less concerned now. She's just alert, but she looked, that first initial heads up was almost like I wouldn't have been surprised if a lion walked in here, but I don't think it's that. But this is what the den is about. It's to provide security, it's to provide a safe place for them to groom and suckle and interact like we've been seeing, but also it provides a very safe, very secure home. Going into that den, it's a network of tunnels. It's not just a hole, it's tunnels, there's chambers in there, different places to hide, even smaller tunnels that only the youngsters can get into. You can see why they're called spotted hyena, those markings on them. Oh, lots of things happening this morning. We're going to keep an eye out, see what she's looking at. We've seen so many things already, and Brent's got some big things on foot. Enjoy.
Welcome back, everyone. We've been trying to track this leopard, and we've come across a breeding herd of elephant, and they're moving towards us, so we're trying to move out of the area. They don't know we're here, but they've got small babies, strong wind. We've got this breeding herd with a very strong wind. They're in the area where we think the leopard is, but they started moving towards us, so we're trying to sort of skedaddle a little bit. It looks like they've changed their direction a bit. With babies and that, we don't really want them to know we're here. We'd rather let them move past, feeding slowly, and we can carry on looking for that leopard. They might come out into the open in a little bit. There we go. So they've changed the direction slightly, so we're in a bit of a better position. And isn't this incredible? We're out looking for big cats on foot, and we've come across the biggest animal in the bush on foot. And they're slowly feeding through the block. In the strong wind, they have no idea where we are, so we don't want to give them a fright. Suddenly they see us at very close range, and they're probably about 70 meters, 60 meters from us at the moment. Okay, we're going to move a little bit just in case. Andre, let's go. And just make sure, you never know if there's other elephants spread around. Okay, let's go. We're just going to go to a big marula tree. We're going to stand behind it, and they should move right past us. Of course, that is if they don't change direction. Okay, let's actually come back a bit more. Okay. So it's quite a big herd. We initially only saw 3 or 4, and it's probably now closer to 10 that we can see, and obviously those are only the ones we can see. Now, out of all the animals we walk around with in the bush, the potential for things going bad is highest with a breeding herd of elephants, and that's why we're very, very cautious. While we're watching this beautiful breeding herd, Deanne Amore is wondering, is tracking cats on foot safe? Or elephants and other things more dangerous? Well, elephants are probably the most dangerous on foot, just because they're so big and we're so little. But if you use your experience and you don't put yourself in a dangerous position like we've done now, we've moved away from the path they were following. They have no idea we're here. They're just slowly moving about their business. It's not a dangerous situation now, but if we'd been in the wrong place or read the situation wrong, it can become a dangerous situation. But elephants don't really want to kill you. They're just trying to protect themselves. As with leopards and lions on foot, quite often will move away from you during the day, and so a lot less dangerous. These ones are going to pop out into the open clearing shortly. So it's always important to be checking completely around you. We don't know how spread out this herd is. I'm quite confident they're all in that little zone there. But I'm always checking behind me. And isn't this incredible? So what I am going to do is I'm going to call Peter and Hayden on the radio, let them know where these elephants are moving to, and they can hopefully give you an incredible viewing from the vehicle. Peter or HT coming. Stations, there's a Klamboevenloof at the junction of Drakensberg and Central Road. Slowly mobile north.
Copied, mate, thanks.
There we go, HT's got it. He's on his way there. So while we move away, keep on trying to find this big male leopard. We're just going to wait a few more seconds. They might pop out into the open. just going to move. They're moving away from us now. We're just going to take a few steps, try to get you one last really good view. Here we go. That's amazing. So, obviously, breeding herds are very different from walking into elephant falls. And Georgia and Illinois is wondering if they become more aggressive when there are babies with them. Georgia, they do. It's any animal's protecting its young. So that's why we'll never, ever, ever, ever try push our luck with breeding herds. This is a almost perfect situation. The wind's in our favor. They have no idea we're here. And they're slowly moving on about their business. And shortly we're going to be doing the same. Just going to try see if we can get a shot of one of the little babies coming out into the open. There's some younger ones, little female walking through. Isn't this absolutely amazing? So we've had a nice view on foot. I'm sure HT or Peter are going to come into this area with the vehicle, give you an even better view. And we've still got a leopard to find. So we're going to cross back to Hayden and see what he's up to. And hopefully we'll be back with another member of Africa's Big Five, except this time a spotted one.
Wow, that sounds like a beautiful little spot that Brent was in there. Lovely to come up on a breeding herd of elephants on a walk, and very exciting stuff, particularly when you're doing exactly what we try and do, try and get those animals visual and not have any impact on their behavior, and just watch them from afar. It's a very, very special feeling, and everyone gets really excited. I particularly just find it hard to control my excitement when I come across elephants on a walk like that. We've got a really nice question from Line Eyes in Texas. Nice to have you with us. Fantastic to have you on board this morning. And you would like to know what my favourite elephant interaction on Djuma was. Well, I think in the middle of the year, I think it was about the first quarter or third of this year gone. And I was just talking to Brian about it. He has so much go into his brain and so many sightings. Sometimes it's hard to remember what happened when. And I'm pretty sure it was Brian and I. But Line Eyes, there was this fantastic situation with this old bull, and we got a pretty good idea that he was feeling pretty comfortable with us. And we stopped on this little area of grass that we're coming up to just now. And what he basically did was he tolerated us, and we sat there with him and watched him, and he sort of came up quite close to us and sort of fed past us. And then I just reversed up, did a bit of a circle around, and sort of plonked ourselves up quite close to where he was going to walk. Well, I must have driven the vehicle over some of the food or the vegetation that he was feeding on, and it was at the time he was picking up some sort of a tuber or a bulb. I can't quite remember what it was, but we got there, and he started to come closer and closer and closer, to the point that he was feeding with his trunk, pulling out this vegetation underneath the front of the vehicle. Now that was quite a special moment. You are committed then. You wouldn't start the vehicle and move. We had to trust him. He got a really, really good sense that we weren't any threat to him. And it was a moment that we had for probably about 10-15 minutes with him, and he just fed around us and put his trunk right underneath the vehicle. I've just got to turn this game drive channel down. And it was quite an extraordinary experience to have a bull like that. Excuse me, sorry, I'll just turn that down there. We're going to cross back now. I'll be right back with you guys.
We just missed them. We might catch up with them again. We just saw a pair of honey badgers scuttling off through the bush. They might stop and turn around. So you're going to come with us for a little bit. We're going to walk up to that termite mound. And we're going to have to move a little bit quickly than we normally would on the bushwalk. So a pair of honey badgers. think they've scuttled off, but we're definitely going to move in the same direction. That's where we think the leopard might have gone. So hopefully we'll catch up. But they just came bumbling into us, like, and suddenly saw us, and they took off, not too fast, sort of moving at honey badger speed. They are quite mobile creatures. Such a pity. We'll go a little bit more, maybe try get a little bit of elevation, if we can find the tracks where they ran. So quite often when they storm off like that, they run and they stop and turn around. So they came careering through this open area. It's all happening on foot here this morning. Elephants were on leopard tracks, honey badgers running past us. Much directly through here. It's going to be difficult to find a track, but we'll. They went this way towards that termite mound. Just going to move to the termite mound. Sneak up the back, see if we can get a bit of a run. To give you an idea how rare it is for them. And since I've been here, I only know of twice. But we haven't managed to be quick enough to get the camera on yet. Thing to capture. So you'll notice, for our regular viewers, it's because I felt James I'm quite tall, so a little stick will suffice. But speaking of James, we're going to carry leopard or the honey badger. But James has got some interesting furry insects to show you.
Now, what an amazing sighting from the kleptoparasite that is Brent Leo Smith. The kleptoparasite, of course, is somebody that steals things. Brent Leo Smith has stolen my stick. He said that he left the big one here for my protection. There is no big stick here at all. Brent Leo Smith is now a thief. I will have words with him when he returns from his sojourn in the bush. It looks like he's having an absolutely amazing time out there. Incredible herd of elephants. Now quickly go over to the microscope, look at this. There's an ant going into this remains of a glorious citrus swallowtail butterfly. It doesn't look so glorious now. There he is, look at him, he's cleaning his feelers and he's made a little home. And everything, there's a little ecosystem in everything you look at. Oh, this is just so spectacular. So that'll be a carnivorous ant that will have eaten out the insides of this butterfly just after he died. It definitely wouldn't have killed the butterfly. Just astonishing stuff to be able to see. Now that curly bit that you can see on the right hand side, I'm not going to put a pointer in there because, well, we can try. The curly bit there, you can see that curly bit there. That's, I think, his folded up mouth parts that have kind of turned in on themselves as he's dried out and desiccated. And that huge bulbous thing to the top side of the screen is, of course, this butterfly's eye. Now, Jeffrey in Texas, yesterday you asked, I don't know if you're still with us this morning, but you asked to see the scales on the top of a butterfly's wing. Now there you can see the scales. That's what he meant by scales. There's also a little mite there. That little white thing moving is a mite. And those are the scales there that you can see on the edge of the butterfly's wing. You can also see the veins, and those veins, of course, remember, a butterfly, completely unlike a bat or a bird, does not have kind of veins, at least bones in the wings to keep them out and stable. So they've got sort of hydraulic pressure. So when you can see those veins, and they pump fluid through those veins, and that keeps the wings up and steady and formed perfectly. Right, so that was a magnificent sighting of those ants living in the citrus swallowtail, so we'll be sure not to throw that away. We'll have to put him gently back where he came from. And just quickly, before we go back to Peter, who's sitting with the producers of what I'm next going to show you, we're going to go down and have a look at some hyena dung. And the hyena dung, of course, is white most of the time. There we go. And we get quite a nice impression of it from here. You can see the whiteness of that calcium carbonate, excuse me, and the hairs that have been come out. Now, not even a hyena's digestive system can make short work of the hair that is in the mammals that they eat. So very difficult to make any kind of nutritional use of hair. And you know, a large proportion of hair, of course, is keratin, and of course we know that rhino horn keratin. So if a hyena cannot digest hair, there is no ways that a human being will be able to digest hair and make some kind of medicinal use. Rhino horn perhaps has some medicinal use. It doesn't. It cannot be digested by the human digestive system if it can't be digested by a hyena's. Okay, Peter is still sitting with the hyenas at the den. Let's go back and get an update from him, and I'll try and find something else interesting to show you just now.
Well, sitting here talking with VM, we're really enjoying not only the cool weather, but just the sort of the excitement of summer that's around us, and all the wildlife and all the activity that comes with us. Honey badger, I believe you caught a glimpse there. To see honey badger at any stage is always very cool. It's not an animal that you typically see sort of around every bend. Also not too far in terms of relation. We spoke about a little bit earlier about cats and dogs and hyenas and where they fit in. Mongooses and honey badgers actually much closer to a hyena than, for instance, lions or leopard or wild dogs. Not too much going on. She's been pretty much doing what we're seeing there. That small one went inside the den, and then the juvenile as well, the older cousin, also went inside. So both youngsters in the den, I presume they're sleeping. If you look at her now, she's actually just sort of, how shall I say, sort of rolling into a more comfortable position. But she's pretty much in sort of taking nap mode now as well. Very interesting to see the intricacies of animals. I mean, you can tell a lot from their tracks, but you can and as James was showing you there, the hair don't get digested, so you can, if you really wanted to and you wanted to have a careful look, you could probably figure out what it's eaten just from the hair. Sometimes some of the big bones, but it's incredible, or pretty much all the bone matter that they eat gets digested. Amazing digestive systems. But this place we are going to spend time at again. It's a beautiful setting. Look at the big termite mound, a couple of nice big trees on it, shade for the day, place to sit up and look. All the bone matter that they eat gets digested. Amazing digestive systems. But this place we are going to spend time at again. It's a beautiful setting. Look at the big termite mound, a couple of nice big trees on it, shade for the day, place to sit up and look.